It's a great day to be a Kansas
Ooh.
City sports fan, and that is emphasized and closed out with a 26-13 victory for the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football against the New Orleans Saints. Also, congratulations to the Kansas City Royals splitting the series in New York, coming back to Kansas City for 2 games. Going to be a lot of fun, but we are going to be celebrating a Kansas City Chiefs victory tonight, 26-13 over the New Orleans Saints. I'm here with Matthew Lane. Matthew, I know you were a one-screen guy tonight. I know you were
Oh
a one-screen
gosh,
guy.
yes.
I know that's the
Absolutely.
case, which is great. That's good. Yeah, one of us needed to be it
Absolutely.
right. But yeah,
Absolutely. I guess, we can never mind. I'm not going to make any jokes. Good job, Royals. I am glad that they tied it back up going to Kansas City, and everybody that had their 2 screens going or was at either one of the games and watching the other on their phone. I'm glad you guys had a fantastic time. Go Kansas City sports. But yeah, we were a one screen person. I do have a bone to pick though. I have a bone to pick with the Saints for somehow still being just so unbelievably boring that even the Chiefs' best performance of the year kind of feels a little ho-hum. It's by far the Chiefs' best performance of the year, but the Saints made it very clear from the very first drives of the game that they are not a good football team and somehow made this very boring despite the fact that the Chiefs are playing good. I blame the Saints.
it's all on the Saints, but no, it was still a fun game for me to watch nonetheless because I think there was a lot of positive things to take away from this game. And look, I think when you look at the National Football League right now, and you look at all these teams that are sitting at 3-2 in 5 games, and you look at all these teams that are dropping games like the Bills and the Ravens, to the presumed contenders for the Chiefs. When it comes to their pursuit of the AFC 1 seed, the Chiefs hold a 2-game lead heading into the bye week with a ton of adversity. They've lost their starting running back. They've lost their best wide receiver to injury, Hollywood Brown, before the season even starts. This team has went through a lot of adversity already early on in the season, and they've still come out and they've won the first 5 games of the year against what Football Outsider Schatz says is the toughest schedule of any team through the first 5 weeks of the season. So a ton of kudos to the Kansas City Chiefs for taking care of business when a lot of other teams have struggled to do so. So 5-0, moving on after a victory on Monday Night Football over the New Orleans Saints. Look, a 2-score game is a blowout. A double-digit win in the National Football League is a blowout, and this game felt more like a triple up of the New Orleans score. It should have been 39-13, it felt like, instead of 26-13. But the Chiefs still take care of business, and some positive signs on both sides of the football, Matthew.
I mean, yeah, the Chiefs over doubled the Saints' yardage, total yards. They held the ball for nearly double the amount of time. The Chiefs made some mistakes, obviously, right? But it's not like they clearly outgained the Saints with penalty yards or turned the ball over more. They dominated this football game. Just a missed field goal, some execution issues in the red zone, which I'm sure we will talk about at some point in time, made this game seem kind of close, but it never really was. Right? I don't care that the game got within 3 points. It never really felt like it was close because the Chiefs were dominating from start to finish. And that's what I said. I blame the Saints for making that feel boring somehow. I still think it's on them. But this was somehow the most complete performance the Chiefs had, right? They're down their top 2 wide receivers, their offensive line. They're playing their now second string left tackle because he's become the starter. He gets hurt a little bit. They're down their starting running back. They have all these just fill in pieces they're trying to figure out in real time because they haven't had a bye week yet. All these things are happening during the season, and yet they still come out and probably play their best game of the year, their most complete game from not only start to finish, but both sides of the ball. This is what you want to see before they go into the bye week, right? This is the kind of game I think you want to see them put together, even if there's still some stuff left out there for improvement going forward.
I never said I said I wasn't going to be picking blowouts for the foreseeable future, but this game was a blowout, and we got a lot of the positive indicators that we were hoping to see, and then it also, it materialized into a very dominant performance from this team. We can start with the offensive side of the ball. Definitely some flashes. Patrick Mahomes throws for over 331 yards on 39 attempts, high completion percentage. Kareem Hunt rushes for over 100 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster, 130 yards receiving. A very complete performance from the offense, the most complete performance from the offense that we've seen to date. And they still, hey, look, a missed field goal, red zone execution, still plenty of little things to go. But they flashed the ceiling a little bit, and this kind of felt like one of those games that you see the Chiefs do this. Hey, it's an NFC opponent. You're not going to see him again. Uh, you're definitely not seeing him in the Super Bowl. Uh,
Wait,
but
said Kareem Hunt had 100 yards. I had to go double check you because I thought there was no chance he
yeah,
was getting hit for every 5 yards. Like no more. Longest rush, 8 yards,
8 yards.
had 102 yards, averaged 3.8 yards a carry, which is not particularly great. It was a good day. It's just you said that and that blew my mind that
Mhm.
Kareem Hunt topped 100 yards in this football game.
Yeah, but I mean, this was the kind of offense that this is kind of offense performance they put together. High volume, a good game, and definitely some stuff that they're going to want back. I do think it's kind of interesting because, like, you know, I think the film is always never as good as you think it is, or never as bad as you think it is. I'm curious to see what the look like will be for all of us looking back on this game when we rewatch it and all that kind of stuff. Because I think there's a lot of good things and still plenty of things that we can acknowledge. Like they can get better, and this team can do a lot better as they kind of try to build towards playing their best football in January.
Yeah, I mean, I this game was good to see, right? And it felt like the Chiefs kind of fell back on some things that were a little bit more reliable to them. It's a lot of Juju Smith-Schuster. Not saying it's a bad thing, but it started out with a lot of Kelsey, a lot of multi-tight end sets, a lot of Juju Smith-Schuster, a lot of the run game with Kareem Hunt, like stuff that they felt comfortable and familiar with, almost like they were trying to get to the bye week, which you can't blame them, right? But like it almost feels like this team was trying to kind of get through this game, not in a they don't care, just they want this game to be over quickly. They want to get to the bye week so they can figure out how this offense is going to work, what they need to do to right this ship because it hasn't been clicking great so far. How are they going to replace Rashee Rice? It felt like that to me. And they kind of went back to some of the basics, and the Saints were wholeheartedly unprepared for a very normal looking Chiefs passing attack. This was the same stuff that they seem like they've been running most of the year. They just executed a little bit better. But to your point, there's a lot left. I think there's a lot left out there. I think Patrick Mahomes still had a couple shots downfield that he wants back or would like to take a shots downfield. I think the pass protection was a little up and down, and yet we look at it and they scored 26 points with the missed field goal. They didn't have great execution in the red zone. Like, yeah, you flip a few switches and this team is once again putting up 30 points, near 40 points with absolute ease versus a defense that isn't terrible in the New Orleans Saints.
No, I mean the Saints have had some good defensive performances in this season. 26 points ties what the Atlanta Falcons were able to put on them, but they held the Eagles to 15. They held Dallas to 19. They held Carolina to 10. Maybe that's not a compliment. I don't know. But this isn't a bad defense. Yeah, they've had a little bit of injury luck issues or injury issues kind of fall on the negative side for them in the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I think the Chiefs should feel good about what they did. They found a lot of the success in the middle of the field this week, which was something that like I don't think that they'd been able to find. And like I don't know if it's just some of the route concepts they drew up or the Saints just not doing a good job of covering it. But I mean, this was an opportunity for Juju Smith-Schuster to eat a little bit. Travis Kelsey found a little bit more success, got going a little bit between the two. 16 catches, 200 yards on the day for Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelsey combined. Both of them found some success in the middle of the field, Matty.
Yeah, and again, that's what I was saying. Like it felt like the Chiefs were relying on the greatest hits. And you go back and I think when we sit down to get a watch it, I think you're going to see a lot of their concepts are just going to be a deep over route with a drag underneath it or a drive route underneath. Like they're going to do a lot of stuff where there's two guys going across the middle of the field and they're just using the first guy to run through and clear it out, and they're finding a Juju Smith-Schuster or a Travis Kelsey in behind it. And it's just this is literally the Chiefs' greatest hits from the past 6-7 years of pass game. And the Saints just didn't seem to have a great answer. I thought Mahomes was operating pretty well on it, right? Like I'm not saying Mahomes played a perfect game, but he seemed to be in a little bit more control over what this game was. I think he left a few shots out there on the field, but like some of those, I also think he was just not taking because it was a slightly riskier throw, or it was going to be maybe a riskier play than he wanted to make in the moment, given the status of the game. So I thought they did a good job. I thought they did a great job going to Juju Smith-Schuster. They found that guy that's going to replace the Rashee Rice role, at least in the meantime. Like, hey, we know exactly how to use this guy in this role because guess what? We did it a couple of years ago. And I think without him, I mean, like this game, I'm not saying they lose it or anything like that, but I think he played a huge part in this game of just having that familiarity to that exact type of role.
Yeah, I think there wasn't how Chiefs set expectations for Juju Smith-Schuster specifically. Like there's not he didn't have a ton of success in New England last year, and there's some talks about his health and whether or not he was going to be kind of the same guy he's been in recent memory. This is still kind of a young player. Maybe the knees aren't necessarily as young, but this team knows how to use him. This team has had success using Juju Smith-Schuster in the past, and I think there was more optimism within the building that they were going to get more out of Juju Smith-Schuster than you saw in New England. And I think that's absolutely the case because last year Juju Smith-Schuster had 260 yards catch in the air for the entire season. Today he has half of that total in just one game. And so Juju Smith-Schuster, he's kind of put together a nice little season already with this big game, and he's going to be relied upon a lot more. I think there's more questions about whether or not they need to continue to insulate that room and continue to add bodies, especially with the health of a Juju Smith-Schuster. But he really did shine today and help kind of replace a role that this team badly needed to fill. And so good on Juju Smith-Schuster for going out there. I want to get back to Mahomes because, I know there's some frustration about maybe some of the shots that he didn't take, but I thought this was a big step forward for him in 2024 from what we've seen in recent memory. And I thought there was a lot more calmness and command to how he operated today. And I know that sounds a little bit weird to say with some of the moves that he was making, just kind of trying to shift and move and kind of trying to scramble a little bit. But I just thought that everything was controlled chaos more than it's been the entirety of the year. And not to say that it's been bad, but just this was a controlled version of the scrambling. I think he tried to hold on and give some plays a chance from the pocket that maybe he wouldn't have in other weeks. I thought, he was really trying to give structure a chance a little bit more. And I thought he did some really good things in this game. The interception, obviously, hey, he could throw front shoulder instead of back shoulder, and maybe that's a little bit easier on Juju. And that's ultimately what makes this game even remotely close. This could have been a 33-6 game or 33-7 game quite easily, and maybe even a little bit worse if that touchdown goes in, goes in the end zone from the 2-yard line. But no, I thought Patrick Mahomes had a pretty solid performance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'd go with. Great, it's pretty solid. It's better than he's been since the Baltimore week. I think it's his best game since that game one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's entirely different. Against Baltimore, it seemed like there was a little bit more, especially in the first half, a little bit more aggression, a little bit more we're going to try to make stuff happen. And then something kind of changed in the second half. And since then, he has been, I don't know if I fully agree with the idea that he's just seeing ghosts, that he's getting, scared in the pocket or anything like that. However, I do think he's very uncomfortable back there, and that is shortening the timer in his head on how long he can wait for something to develop. And I do think there's a lack of general trust in some of the wide receivers, or all of them without Rashee Rice, that guys aren't going to be open when he wants them to. And that's going to make him kind of move off of reads a little bit quicker. And then that's going to speed up your process in the pocket. So I think there's a lot of things working against him. And that's why the bye week's coming in the right time. But to your point, I think in this game, you could see him clearly trying to force himself to stay in the pocket, trying to stay calmer. And I know you watch his feet, you watch some of his movement, and it looks erratic and like he wasn't doing that. But I think that was him very specifically trying to stay in the pocket so that he can try to deliver passes when they come on time. I don't think it always worked out, but he was trying. And so, yeah, for that reason, I do think this was his best game over the past few weeks. He's reacting to a situation that has clearly made him feel uncomfortable and had him playing one of his worst stretches of football since he's been in the NFL. And then you come out to this game and you have a great game. And if you erase that interception that he throws, it's probably a good game rather than just being a solid, defined game. It's a really good game. And the throw wasn't perfect, but I think when we watch the end zone view, you see that he has to change his arm angle to get around the second level defenders that are biting on the run action of the RPO. So I think it was actually a pretty sick throw. It still hit Juju Smith-Schuster, in the back shoulder, but still in his shoulder. So I don't know. I don't really have too many complaints other than not throwing a few deep shots.
Yeah, but I think everything outside of just a few deep shots was just a really, really good performance from him, continuing to build, continue to get better. And hey, this is a response, right? Hey, another week without Rashee Rice, and last week, you're kind of scrambling. You're trying to hold on just to win the football game. And this week it's okay, we don't have Rashee Rice. How are we going to handle things? And Mahomes throws for 331 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster looks like the same guy that he has. A nice night on Monday Night Football at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Very nice night. Tucker D. Franklin, you got some stats for us, don't you, my friend?
Oh, buddy, I got all kinds of stats to read you. This one is from Josh Dubois. I don't think that's how you say his last name. DeBow. Chiefs have gone 16 straight regular season games without winning the turnover margin. Only teams to go longer without winning the turnover margin since 1960 are the Oilers with 22 games and the Browns with 17. Oh yeah, by the way, the Chiefs have won 11 straight games. So that means that they have gone a lot of games without winning the turnover margin. Also, the Chiefs have won 11 straight games, as I mentioned, without scoring more than 27 points, which ties an NFL record. An incredibly good feat by the Chiefs there. And last one here from Benjamin Solak. Juju Smith-Schuster, who was cut by the Patriots this offseason, has more receiving yards tonight, 117, than any Patriots pass catcher has had in a game this season.
Checks out. I mean, and look, credit to Juju for, kind of, putting himself in this position. Like, I know it's been an up and down time since he left New England, but I mean, good for him for, continuing to get out there, and like, he looks healthy. Like, I think that's an important piece of this too, is, there's a lot of trust with him and Mahomes, which is a really valuable thing to have. Especially when you're just, scrambling to try to keep things together. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the guy that he has the most chemistry with, the two guys that he has the most chemistry with, saw 18 targets tonight. I don't think between Kelsey and Juju, I think that's probably pretty obvious, right? But yeah, no, good on Juju. I'm excited for him, and like, this is a big opportunity for him. Even if the Chiefs are to go out and grab Amari Cooper at the bye, like, this still, the arrow is pointing up for Juju Smith-Schuster. Tucker, you have more?
Yeah, I do. This is another one from Benjamin Solak. I have dubbed this team as the multiverse Chiefs team just because there's so many different like players from different eras on this Chiefs team. Ben Solak again tweets out Juju Smith-Schuster's 130 receiving yards are the most in a game since 2021 season with the Steelers. That was 1,366 days ago. Kareem Hunt's 102 rushing yards are his most in a game since the 2022 or 2020 season, excuse me,
Wow.
with the Browns. That was 1,422 days ago.
Wow. That is they just keep finding ways, man. And it's some of the old, like you said, the multiverse, right? Like, just
What a
multiple characters
goofy
coming
team.
back. Yeah.
What a
Hey,
goofy team.
well, I mean, this team has done this in the past. Like, I feel like they've tried to bring some of their guys, from other eras in the past, just when they need them, So, like, this isn't all that surprising, right?
Sure. I don't know. It's just it's a goofy team. I was just talking about more about the stats, right? I was talking more about like all these stats that Tucker's bringing about like how Chiefs are winning games at these really weird ways that nobody else does, which I mean makes sense, right? Like, and not even weird ways. It's just they've been the most dominant team in the NFL over the past 5 years, and so much of it now is coming in the very, very non-dominant ways. It's funny to watch this team play and continue to be good. I mean, we're sitting here, Patrick Mahomes has an even touchdown to turnover ratio, touchdown interception ratio, and they're undefeated, right? And like, they've won every single game, and like, he can't put the ball in the end zone better than he's turning the ball over, but they're undefeated. And the defense loses L'Jarius Sneed, and we're all sitting here, almost week in and week out saying, they could be better at this position or that position, but yet they're undefeated. So like, it's just, they are a funny team right now that just happens to find a way to win every single game. And I think that's how that they are going to continue to be a Super Bowl contender no matter what happens.
There's only one team that's 4-1 in the AFC, and everyone else is 3-2 or worse. Like, they've set themselves up tremendously. Only the Houston Texans right now are within a game of the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. They will be coming to GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, and GEHA is a proud and caring member of Chiefs Kingdom and wants to give fans an opportunity to be part of the coin toss for their favorite team. When the defending champs take the field this season, make sure you're right in the action by entering to win a chance to be the GEHA coin toss captain. Lucky winners will be right at the 50-yard line for the toss, as well as additional prizes for games against Tampa Bay, Denver, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Houston. There's still plenty of chances to enter and try to win. Enter for a chance to win sweet access, game tickets, and a once-in-a-lifetime experience with GEHA. All Chiefs fans living in Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, and Nebraska are eligible to enter. Potential winners must pass a background check. Contest is open to the public. Go to chiefs.com/GEHA to enter. I'm telling you, I've been on the field for some of the pregame ceremonies one time in my life, and it was one of the most surreal experiences. Maddie, I could not imagine being at the 50-yard line for the coin toss with both teams lined up there. I think that would be the most surreal. I don't even think I would. I don't think I would believe it. I think that'd be kind of just too surreal for me.
No, that would be pretty crazy. I mean, that would be pretty crazy to be out there for the coin toss, just kind of standing there on the field, both, captains for all the teams right there. That would be a moment. That would be a moment, but they need to update their read there. They need to say back-to-back defending world champions, not just defending world champions. There's a back-to-back in there that they need to get on that.
Yeah, they're going for the three-peat right there, but you can go to Chiefs.com/GEHA to enter a chance to be a coin toss captain for the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
God, I'm slacking. I'm just going to keep going now.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't ready for that at all. I was talking with the chat about some stuff, but whatever. We're going to take a break now.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. To get this new customer offer in your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNpost. That's mintmobile.com/KCSNPOST. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSNpost. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Thanks, everyone, hanging out with us. Chiefs win 26-13, advancing to 5-0 on the season. And I mean, come on, man, you got to celebrate that. Again, I just can't get over the fact they're up 2 games on the Bills. They're up essentially 3 games on the Ravens already. They're up 5 games on the Bengals, which, let's be honest,
get that out of the paint. We don't need to talk about that.
How many picks after the Titans pick in the 3rd round that the Chiefs own will the Bengals be making their 3rd round selection? How many? Not very many.
Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with not very many.
Pretty delicious, if you ask me.
Okay. Let's, we spent a lot of time talking about the Chiefs being good, and we've given the nod to it. But the Chiefs defense, once again, was absolutely stellar in this game. We spend a lot of time, especially without Craig around here, who's good. He's doing well, guys. But without Craig, we spend a lot more time talking offense now than we do defense. So I think it's time to dive into the defense. And again, I want to preface this. I blame the Saints for making this very boring and not really feeling like there's a lot that I can just stand up real super tall and talk about, because the Chiefs dominated them. The defense dominated the Saints offense. The Saints offense couldn't find a rhythm. The entire game was just Derek Carr throwing YOLO balls off his back foot when they had to throw. Alvin Kamara couldn't get going in the run game. What did the Saints do? What were the Saints supposed to do well? Because it wasn't anything that I saw.
I really don't know, honestly, because the offense has kind of been up and down the last few weeks, and for the Saints specifically, and they didn't do much. They didn't have much going. They had one explosive touchdown, which we talked about. And it was that 43-yard touchdown to Rashid Shaheed. Nice little double move.
Good play.
Against split safety. The Chiefs just didn't really have anybody there. It was a great play call. And they needed every bit of it, right? They scored that touchdown. Then they scored a touchdown later off of the Colin Saunders interception, which I really can't even get mad about, because I love Colin Saunders. He looks like an elite athlete. They should get involved on offense. But I just thought I think the Chiefs had a fantastic game plan. And here, we'll just say Steve Spagnuolo owns Derek Carr. Derek Carr, I have missed watching Derek Carr kill plays before barely after the ball snapped, because he knows he doesn't have an answer for a quick win from Chris Jones or a wide open blitz from one of the linebackers. He just burns plays so quickly, and I've desperately missed watching Derek Carr just kill some of these plays. Steve Spagnuolo was in his bag. Steve Spagnuolo went back to what he does against Derek Carr, which is terrify him, throw pressures at him, throw pressures at random times against him, random cornerback blitzes. There's one time I watched Justin Watson blitz, and I was like, he's not coming. He's not capped. He's not, he's not coming. Brings Justin Watson. It was like a second down play against a condensed formation. Like, Steve, this is the week that Steve gets random, and Steve got a little bit random. He had Derek Carr's number yet again. And I think with Derek Carr, the New Orleans Saints had less than 200 yards in offense on the game. They only eclipsed 200 yards when Jake Haener entered the game.
So I just wanted to say thanks for the super chats, guys. We see you guys from David Callis, Scott Morin. Primetime Rambo says, I don't need a star, but I needed them to get another pass catcher. True. Kent, are you afraid that after this performance from Juju Smith-Schuster and this offensive output that the Chiefs are going to think that they are good at wide receiver?
No.
Oh, and Baja, shout out.
No, I don't think so. I think they know that they need to continue to insulate themselves. They need to continue to plan for the long haul. Juju Smith-Schuster missed some time last week. Travis Kelce's on the, wrong side of 30. I think he's getting, he's on the way, towards a gold jacket. So I do think that this team will probably, they'll need to go out another player. And, Amari Cooper's looking nicer and nicer every single time I think about it. So yeah, no, I think they're still gonna. They still got to add it. I know we kind of joked, and I know we were kind of joking in the DMs like this might be enough to just keep them from doing it, but I still think they got to do it.
I mean, yeah, I think they got to. Juju had a great game, but like Juju Smith-Schuster won on all the exact kind of stuff that that you're not getting a different wide receiver to play. You're not getting another wide receiver to run to a wide open zone over the middle of the field because you cleared it out. You're getting another wide receiver to be reliable in the red zone, to beat man coverage when teams do go man coverage. Like, I don't think this game impacts that at all. And I think we also kind of saw Sky Moore, despite a very thin wide receiver group, fall out of favor. Justin Watson couldn't get any targets in this game. All of McColl's targets, while he did do some nice things, were at the line of scrimmage. So I do think it's still entirely possible. I don't think a good performance from a Juju or this offense puts anything like that out of reach. There is clearly room for another guy here. But back to the defense. You know what's funny, Kent? Derek Carr is like wildly average versus Steve Spagnuolo in his career. Like, he is very average. He's not terrible. He's got terrible games, but he's wildly average. And it's funny because you watch him, and every time I watch him play, it's like, you're right. He looks panicked. He looks like he doesn't have answers, and he just starts throwing stuff off his back foot and like bailing away from what might be something that's going to get him hurt, which, I mean, unfortunately in this game, he did get hurt, but sometimes it just seems to work out for him. And I think that he's had some big games against Steve Spagnuolo in his past just because of that kind of nature and like how he plays this game. But this one was certainly not one of them, right? Like, he was scared off the snap on some of these plays. They couldn't get the run game going. And I think that really messed with the Saints passing game. Like, it didn't feel like they had anything to threaten this Chiefs defense with from after that Rashid Shaheed long touchdown. It didn't feel like they had anything to really threaten the Chiefs defense until the very end of the game. And at that point, it was just a matter of time. It felt like until the Chiefs kind of blew the doors off of a semi-close game.
Yeah. I think if you take away and like, okay, you take away the biggest play of the game, but it was very feast or famine. There wasn't consistent offense. It felt generated by the New Orleans Saints. They put a couple of drives together. They made some big plays when they needed to, but in between that, it was a lot of like, he got and he burned some plays. They didn't really find a great rhythm. Credit to I think you made a great point. Credit to the run defense. 15 carries, 46 yards for the New Orleans Saints. Alvin Kamara held 11 carries for 26 yards on the day. Just an absolutely dominant performance on the ground, and stopped in a way that no one really had. I mean, when this Saints team is rolling, he's 5.5 yards per carry against Carolina, 5.8 yards per carry against Dallas, and going for 115 in that game. 87 and 77 yards on the ground in the two games against Philly and Atlanta. And today, only 11 carries and 26 yards. Just in one long run of 9. Like, they just had things shored up, and they put Derek Carr in this offense behind the sticks so frequently that's when Spags got to go into his bag. And I mean, Derek Carr just had to burn some plays. It was throwing him into the dirt. And like you said, like, so many throws off the back foot, just like, you know what? We don't have an answer here. Let's throw it off. Let's just throw it up and see what happens.
And not good throws, right? Not good throws off your back foot where you're like impressed. Like, where he clearly was just kind of throwing a moonshot down there to see if his guy could run underneath it because he didn't want to get hit. And like, it's just, it's funny when Derek Carr gets into that mode. And it happened in this game, but like also like the Chiefs did that to him. And then yeah, you just look through they got no traction. Chris Jones obviously was great. They paid a lot of attention to him. Tershawn Wharton had a couple really nice pass rush reps. I thought one of the better defensive players for the Chiefs on the field, Nick Bolton, I thought was phenomenal in this game. He had a couple screens and swing passes that he read real quick. The Chiefs got him going on some of the run blitzes there in the second half when the game was kind of fake close. They're okay, you're going to try to run your normal offense again now, New Orleans. Okay, well, here, we're going to send 32 on this A-gap blitz, regardless of if it's a pass or run. You're going to see how you figure it out. And they couldn't figure it out when they ran the ball ever. He was beating all of the blockers to their spots. I thought Bolton continues to play better this year, right? And a lot of that, as we said after that first game that was bad, was he's probably working himself into game shape. And then I do think that teams have not done as good of a job as we thought they might, or as they did towards the end of last year, of attacking the Chiefs on the second level. We can nitpick sometimes against the Chargers or against the Bengals, where this second level, the linebacker group in totality, was targeted in coverage, but it hasn't been near as bad this year as I think we thought it was going to be, based on some of the stuff we had seen at the end of last year to kick off this season. So Nick Bolton, I thought, played one of his better games and might have been the Chiefs' best, at least their second best defender out there.
Oh, for sure. And I think that, the New Orleans found a little bit of success in the middle of the field for some stretches in the first half, but ultimately it was not something that was leading to a ton of drives that were, they weren't able to generate consistent drives. And I think the Chiefs did a good job of putting, when those catches over the middle of the field, it was a 1st and 10, it turned into a 2nd and 3, and the Chiefs were competitive for 2 downs, even in, a 2nd and short kind of situation. So they did a pretty good job of solving that. I think Leo Chanel had his coverage from, some struggles from the coverage perspective, giving up the touchdown to Foster Moreau, and Drew Tranquil had some issues there too. But I don't think that the linebackers were getting stretched and stressed the way they have in some of these other games against the pass. And I thought from a run game perspective, this is one of Nick Bolton's best games. Maybe it might have been his best game of the season. Honestly,
I think so.
His timing on the run blitzes, I thought, was really good too. It wasn't just he had the snap count down, and he was he had it. He had the countdown right. So made some big plays there, and continue to create those negative plays. And okay, now Spags can get into his bag. He knows how to get after Derek a little bit. So I thought that was really good. It was a good performance from Nick Bolton for sure.
The Saints, with the opening drive, they picked up a couple first downs and threw that interception. Then they went 3 and out. They had a long touchdown, or the long touchdown play. I don't even want to say drive, right? They picked up, I think, 1 first down on a 3rd and short. And then a couple plays later, they hit the nice design play for a touchdown. And they went 3 and out again, end of half. Then they did pick up a first down, but then punted immediately after that and only gained a total net yard of 1 yard. That was their first time in 6 possessions, when just like that, they couldn't do anything functionally on offense. It just, at no point in time did it felt like they had any kind of answer for what the Chiefs defense was doing. It's more so, I think, than picking out on specific examples so much of what the Chiefs did right or wrong. I think you just look in the totality and said, I don't think the Saints were scaring them with anything. They never once made the Chiefs defense play on their heels. They never once really gave the Chiefs defense a whole lot to think about. They had 2 touchdown drives. One of them was a good explosive play. They caught the Chiefs in quarters coverage. They got their best vertical threat wide receiver one-on-one with the safety, and he bit on a double move. That's going to happen if you get that look and the pressure doesn't get home. But outside that, they just never really got anything going that I think put fear into the Chiefs. And then I did want to note that Chris Olave, I know, got banged up on that interception play, but he still went out there and only got 4 targets for 2 catches for 10 yards. Buddy, Trent McDuffie had that man in hell. Chris Olave was having a hell of a time even trying to get open against McDuffie.
You ruined my joke. I was really, really hoping you weren't going to bring Chris Olave up, because I was going to say, dominant performance from the Chiefs. You just have to wonder what would have happened if Chris Olave had played. Oh, wait.
Better than I thought you were going to go for.
Yeah. Trent McDuffie had another outstanding All-Pro day against Chris Olave, locked him up. I thought he did an outstanding job when he was in coverage against him, and the Chiefs did a great job of keeping him. Honestly, the Chiefs were, and we talk about the linebackers, they really weren't getting picked on necessarily. And I don't know if the Saints, Alvin Kamara has some ability to break some things off against, the linebackers. But a lot of the passing game was, largely in the middle of the field still. You talk about the Rashid Shaheed in the middle of the field splitting it, but they really didn't get a ton of stuff going outside. like the Saints were kind of living in a box. Like I'd like to look at the next gen stats on Derek Carr's passing, bubbles, because it really didn't look like they did, much in the way of throwing the ball and having success outside. Now they tried some stuff outside. They threw some of those fades up top, but like a lot of stuff felt like was in the middle of the field.
For the most part, they hit nothing to the outside. They didn't get, a lot done in the middle of the field either.
They just didn't get a lot done.
Didn't get a lot done, right? Like I'm looking right now, trying to do quick math in my head. It looks like throwing to the left outside of the numbers. Right? I don't know if it's the numbers or the hashes for next gen stats. 5 of 7 throwing left, 6 of 10 throwing to the right. The middle of the field, we're looking at like 6 of 8 or something like that. So yeah, not particularly good. No matter, like, not a lot of production coming anywhere from Derek Carr throwing the ball. It felt like too a lot of those deep shots to the outside were him. Those were those prayer balls. Those were him just throwing off his back foot, like, oh, I got nothing. Let me just throw this go ball down the sideline and see if Justin Watson gets outrun by our faster guy.
The D in Tucker D Franklin stands for defensive stats. Tucker, what you got?
Per the 33rd team on the X, Chiefs defense since the start of last season, points per game allowed 17.4. That's first. Touchdowns allowed 39. That is tied for first. Yards per game allowed 296.8. That's third. Total sacks 65. That's tied for fourth. Defensive EPA per drive 0.5. That is fourth since the start of last season.
I mean, you can't say much, right?
That's pretty good.
I know that, look, I do think this team is missing L'Jarius Sneed for sure, but the defense has been good. I think it's enough time to say, you talk about the DVOA. I mean, this is a 5-game sample size, and there's still a long ways to go. But I think one of the hallmarks of last year's team is they hit the ground running because they'd had some familiarity with each other heading into last season. And you heard, I think Nate even said that there was a story about a couple of rookie defensive backs saying, we didn't even know the defense, just wait until we finally learn it. And they learned it last year. And it does feel like Steve Spagnuolo is able to be a little bit more advanced with this group than he has in the past. As the slow build, like with the Tyrann Mathieu teams, it was like a slow build towards, what this offense or defense is ultimately going to look like in the playoffs. This team can be in their bag a little bit more, I think, personally. And, they definitely were again today. And hey, look, this is 5 games with, by DVOA, the toughest schedule in the NFL. And they're 5-0, and they're the only AFC team with a 5-0 record. So I don't know, man. It's just starting to add up. I mean, I know we can get critical about some stuff, but at the same time, it's producing. They're doing good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I blame the Saints for this not getting to be a more riveting conversation because they didn't give you anything to make the Chiefs step out of their comfort zone to really get, and I don't want to say an idea of how good they are. We know the Chiefs defense is very good, but they didn't give you a lot to challenge. Be like, okay, why is this so good? Chiefs play the Ravens. You got to figure out how to stop Lamar and Derrick Henry. The Chiefs play the Bengals. You got to figure out how to stop that passing attack with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And when they have T. Higgins, so on and so forth, you're playing the Saints. And it didn't feel like they were ever having to emphasize what they wanted to stop. Obviously, you have to stop Kamara, but it felt like the Chiefs were just playing their same basic run defense that they always do, where they're going to start throwing in a lot of run blitzes. They're going to try to play hard contained from their DNs rather than trying to spike anything inside and flow over the top. And they're just going to muddy it up and see what happens. So yeah, great performance. They've been great for a long time now. I don't want to have to say, I don't want to admit it that they're a defensive team, but boy, they sure seem like we might be in for another year of being a defensive team, which is fine. That won them a Super Bowl last year. It's not a bad thing. You just got to make sure that you keep getting the execution working on the other side of the ball. And, maybe when you play a couple more offenses with a more capable quarterback than Carr, you have to go through a few more adjustments. Steve Spagnuolo has to dig a little bit deeper in the arsenal and not just be like, I'm going to do the everyone blitz and yell while they run at Derek Carr until they scare him kind of move.
It works. It works. Let's bring in Tucker D. Franklin here. I just want to, we haven't asked your opinion of the game. Want to hear from you, but also just see if you've had any quotes, if you've been able to capture any quotes from the press conferences.
Yeah, let me figure out how to change this around here so I can get on the screen.
Hi.
There we go. Yeah, I did just see this quote, actually. This is from Brandon Zinner. He said, Mahomes on Kelsey's catch and lateral. I told him, this is a quote from Patrick Mahomes, I told him I was throwing it to him so we could get into field goal range, and he laterals it all the way across the field. It's like I'm talking to Sterling. Andy tried to say that was planned. There is no shot that was a planned lateral.
Why not?
You sure about that?
I'm sure.
Everything was flowing away from the back. Travis Kelce cuts back in, and the back is ready to receive a perfect toss.
Just because he's ready for a lateral doesn't mean it was a planned lateral, though. If Travis Kelce's
Wow.
out there, you
practice it every day.
Part
That's
of the
what I heard.
plan.
I just heard that they run it every day, Tuck.
No,
I don't want to be full.
I was like, this one looked less intentional than the one was in the preseason. This one did not look as intentional as the one in the preseason, but that could also just be on P. Ryan for selling it great. You know, you're a wrestling fan. Maybe P. Ryan's just the greatest seller. Tuck. You ever think about that?
Ball. You know, when you're an option running back, you got to be yelling ball all the time, so you get the corner's eyes.
He makes it look like he's about to go out on a little like hitch route to be a little check down. Like, oh wait, sorry, the ball's coming to me on a lateral. You didn't even think of that.
Any other quotes, Tucker?
I just saw this tweet from Curtis Siebold. Each team's feature running back against the Chiefs defense: Derrick Henry, 46 yards; Zach Moss, 34; Bijan Robinson, 31; J.K. Dobbins, 32; Alvin Kamara, 26. Combined, 66 carries for 169 yards. That is a pretty good rush defense there from the Kansas City Chiefs.
They're
169 yards.
Did I?
Total?
Yeah, 169 yards total. Yep.
Okay, I just how many yards do you think Kareem Hunt has in his 2 games as a Kansas City Chief now?
It's got to be pretty darn close because he was.
Yeah,
okay, I think I'm gonna hit over.
You think Kareem Hunt's over the 169 mark?
Can I tell you the number? It's over or under, Tucker.
I'm going with over. I'm feeling good.
Maddie, over under.
Oh, I know. I had the question, so I looked it up. You were supposed to.
I'm the only one that doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's a great line because it's 171 yards.
Let's go.
Rushing. Nailed it.
Let's go.
2 games of Kareem Hunt has outperformed all the starting, running backs against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Kareem Hunt also at the podium right now. He just said it's a great feeling to get back in the end zone. I missed it. That's why I threw a heart up to show my love for Casey.
Oh, let's go.
Well, I mean, yeah. Hey, another touchdown, another good performance from Kareem Hunt. And another good performance for the offense here as they continue to build towards January, man. I want
to talk about. Don't go to Postgame yet, Kent. Don't go to Postgame because there's something else I want to talk about.
I wasn't going to.
This is great.
Okay, good. I got so nervous because I really wanted to talk about this. Look at this screenshot. This is really good. This isn't good for the audio listeners, but this is great for the people on YouTube. Look at the screenshot. This is Patrick Mahomes with an outstretched arm after doing what quite possibly might be the just like most ridiculous quintessential Patrick Mahomes play of all time, of just buying all this time, looking like he's about to throw the deepest shot of all time, pump faking, running backwards, and then diving for the first down. Immediately, first it was called short, but then it was reviewed. He did get the first down. If you're a defender, what do you do, man? Like, that's great coverage by the Saints. But then you just had this dude fly across the air after avoiding 3 sacks, and he gets the first down, and they just want your defensive coordinator, I saw this tweet on Twitter, your defensive coordinator just wants you to go out there and play the next play. You can't do that. Like, that's insane.
It's such a great play. It's so phenomenal when he runs up to the line, pulls it back. He makes 2 Saints players run into each other. Cam Jordan shows that it might be time to hang him up. And then he makes that dive. It's such a good play. And I hate that in my mind, it's forever going to be marred by the fact that I think he had Xavier Worthy wide open for a touchdown to put the game away when he did the hitch and he just didn't throw it. And I don't know why. And I got to wait and watch again, but it looked like he was running a post behind an over route that pulled all the safeties away. And that's where you see Mahomes start to step and throw. And when he doesn't unleash it, they showed the end zone view one time. Like, that's going to be on my mind every time I see that play, as great as it was.
I want to see if I can attribute this real quick. Okay, yeah, there's this guy on Twitter. His name's at Craig_KCSN. He sounds familiar. Xavier Worthy had 28 total yards and still one of the most impactful players in the game. And I agree with that. Like, you get the pass interference call down the field. I think the vertical stretch ability of him, and like the Chiefs are starting to threaten and starting to prove that they can throw the ball down the field a little bit. Mahomes throws the ball down a little bit, field a little bit more. They hit the play last week. And like that that impacted the game and left a lot of things in the middle of the field open for a Juju Smith-Schuster and a Travis Kelce, because there is that vertical stretch threat that does exist. Like, it exists, and like I know Matty wants them to throw it even more and keep pushing the ball down the field. And there's plenty of time for that in the second half of this season. But I do think just his presence down the field is definitely making an impact on the ability for things to kind of be a little bit loose underneath. And oh, by the way, on top of those, in those 28 total yards, 3 catches, but also, hey, a touchdown, another touchdown scored for Xavier Worthy in this game. So I do think he had a good performance, and there was some opportunities left on the field that he could have had even more.
Yeah, I think his impact, like his actual impact on a real football game, it's very easy to see when you sit back and watch, like how often teams have to respect the speed. When the Chiefs do run him across the field, how much it drags safeties horizontally. Like when they run him vertically, some teams have been a little bit more accepting of just letting a corner try to squeeze him into the boundary. And that's where I think we've seen the Chiefs try to take a couple of these more shots with him on the outside. And whether that's going to be his main use, throughout his Chiefs career or not, will be seen. Like, I don't know if that's the best use of him, but it's there. But it's when they do have him run the post, when they run these overs, he really pulls coverage and opens up a lot of space. I think that's really obvious when you watch him. I am curious coming out of the bye week if we don't see him get to do more stuff, though. Because even in this game without Rashee Rice, and when I understand last week, Rashee Rice gets hurt in the middle of the week, you don't know what's going on. Even this game, though, it doesn't seem like his role changed at all without Rashee Rice. Like maybe there was a play here, maybe one of the screens here or there, they would have called for Rice instead, but it didn't feel like he got any of Rashee Rice's role in this game. And not saying that he's going to run the zone beaters over the middle of the field, but it feels like they could expand what he does a little bit more. And I think having the bye week with the extra time to get that in, I'm curious to see what their next game looks like for him, because I think the impact is there. The stats aren't always following because they're a little bit more high volatility plays, but I wonder coming out of the bye week if you don't see him start to get used in a lot of different ways and really start to unlock just his direct impact.
I think that's where the impact, some of the, like we say, like there's still plenty left on the table. Like I think Xavier Worthy's involvement, Xavier Worthy's, ramp up and glow up is going to be spectacular. I'm very encouraged by what we've seen to this point. 4 touchdowns on the season, by the way. He gets 6 targets today, and like a lot of them are, there's some manufactured stuff in there, and there's some vertical stuff that didn't pan out entirely. But like, I do really think that there's plenty of meat left on the bone for what Xavier Worthy can do. I do think, he's really got to work on his tackling technique, because Colin Saunders took him.
High and tight, baby. He had that sucker high and
tight. He was trying to punch it out, and like Colin just tucked it away. That's more good on Colin than I think it was on Worthy. He saw Rice punch one out, and he said, "Okay, Mahomes isn't anywhere nearby. Let me go ahead and go for this too."
I mean, it was funny watching Colin and Xavier there, but I can't I don't think anybody's mad that Colin Saunders got that pick.
Matty was actually.
I still am. You can catch the ball, Juju. That was a great throw. You guys are all talking about how great of a play is for Colin. Yeah, wait till you see the end zone view. That was a fantastic throw that's ruined because Juju let it go through his hands.
Yeah. Hey, these are the things that this team's going to have to do to get better as they continue to build towards the Super Bowl, baby. They go to 5-0 before the bye. They take care of business. One team is within one game of them in the AFC. And that's got to feel good. Because this team continues to just win football games against a tough stretch. Like if you had told us, you got told heading into this season that the Chiefs would be 5-0 heading into the bye, you feel pretty dang good about where this team was at. And I don't know how many. I mean, you would have signed up for 4-1, and here they are 5-0. And I mean, the margin of victory is what, 8, 5, 13. 20, 33. Like they're winning every game by about a margin of 7. Like this is an impressive performance so far from this team. So no big blowouts, but this is the closest thing that we've gotten to a blowout to this point in the season. Now it's time for post game, Tucker. How about that?
Well, it's actually toast game.
I said toast game.
No, you said post game.
It's time for toast game.
There you go. That's better. I didn't want to send it on a bad note. We have to make sure it's on a good note so we can send it to the.
Toast game, of course, presented by Ben Holiday, bottled and bond bourbon. Obviously, sipping on the KCSN Foundation Soft Red barrel pick that we did earlier in April. Absolutely delightful. And if you went to the KCSN golf tournament, you did get a bottle of that. I was at one of my friends' house for the games today, and he cracked that bottle out, made some old fashions. So yeah, good Burby. Anyways, we'll start with Matthew. Toast game, what you got?
Whoa, me. Man, I had a deep cut that I didn't want to put that first, but that's all right.
Fine, Tucker.
No. Okay.
Mine's not a deep cut.
Good health. Oh, my bad.
Well, kind of. Patrick Mahomes got a swagger back, fellas, and it felt good. It felt good to see him out there messing around, just goofing off with the boys, hitting Travis Kelce wide open, hitting Juju Smith-Schuster wide open, handing it off to Kareem Hunt. He's got his swagger back, and I am excited. And we would be talking about another crazy Mahomes play if Samaje Perine just put his hands out there and hauled in another touchdown pass, because he's back, fellas. The rest of the league, they're shaking in their boots. They can't stand it. The Chiefs, they're 5-0 going into the bye week, and Patrick Mahomes just now has his swagger back. It's over. It's over.
All right, to Patrick Mahomes. Maddie.
Oh, good. I like that one. I hope you're right. And I love that you're calling your shot on like a 0 touchdown performance. Like, that's perfect. This is how you call a shot.
Swagger.
It's
vibes.
This is how you call a shot.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you do it. I'm with you. I get it. We're going Mike Pennell. I think we spent a lot of time over the years talking about trying to find a defensive tackle to play next to Chris Jones, how the Chiefs are going to stop the run, how you can't put Tershawn Wharton and Chris Jones out there together. Sometimes you even can't put either one of them out there when you need a run stop, right? Well, guess what? The Chiefs' run defense has been great this year. We've talked about it every single week, how running backs aren't doing anything against it. And I think a huge part's been Mike Pennell, who has been clearly the best nose tackle. I mean, the way he's played last year in the playoffs, and then so far this season, he's been the best nose tackle to play next to Chris Jones in the Steve Spagnuolo era. I think he's doing a fantastic job eating up blockers. I think he's forcing runs the right way. It's not something that's going to get a lot of praise because he's not going to get a lot of stats. He's not even making these tackles, but I think Mike Pennell has been excellent. And the Chiefs have kind of found their starting, so to speak, nose tackle to play next to Chris.
All right. Yeah, I like it. Here's the deal, boys. It's been a big night for Kansas City.
Oh, no.
You knew what I was going to do, Matthew.
Don't do it.
I'm totally doing it. Toast game is going to the Kansas City Royals for winning in New York tonight against the New York Yankees. Big win for the boys in blue. Garrett Hampson. Look, my guy Garrett Hampson is out here just, putting together clutch hits left and right. Like he should have been in the lineup the entire year. But shout out to Garrett Hampson. Shout out to the Kansas City Royals. Tucker, you have a stat or you have something interesting?
I got a quote from Jazz Chisholm. Did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
It feels the same that we're going to win it. I don't feel like anybody feels any different. We're going to go out there and do our thing still. We don't feel like any team is better than us. We had a lot of missed opportunities tonight, so they just got lucky.
Seth Lugo, game 3. Kansas City Royals playing on Wednesday night. So we'll find out. We'll find out what Clark Schmidt can do against the Kansas City Royals and Seth Lugo at the K. The first time the Royals have had a playoff game at the K in a minute. And the first time the playoff game for Kansas City. Going to be a lot of fun. So to the Kansas City Royals, getting a toast game tonight from me. Also seeing some mentions here. We got to get Kareem Hunt some love.
Absolutely.
We got to get we got Nick Bolton getting some love here today.
Yep.
Kyle Isbell, I think, getting some love. I don't know. Yeah, why not? But the Yankees are lucky to have split in the Bronx, and I can't wait for that. It's going to be a bye week, so you can enjoy the Royals a little bit. Maddie's going to be back here on Wednesday to talk about the NFL draft while the Royals game is on.
Let's go.
That's going to do it. That's going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
Go get Amari Cooper. Please.